welcome to the round 11 review after the Blues beat the Suns by 29 points, 15 goals, 12, 102 to 11 goals, 7, 73 in a 29-point victory at Marvel Stadium yesterday, Saturday the 25th of May 2024. Was it a much-needed win? I mean, they're all much-needed, aren't they? Every win's much-needed. Wins just settle the fan base down. Winning helps. Winning fixes arguably anything. The cure to many diseases is watching your team win. Your mood, your vibe, your energy, it's all, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, it can be dependent on how your team goes, especially when you're a Carlton supporter. Because if you're a Carlton supporter, you're not just a Carlton supporter, you're a crazy Carlton supporter. You're not normal. There's got to be a little bit of something, a little bit left of centre to be a blue bagger. That's just the way it goes. Could feel the frustration building throughout the week, and fair enough. Bad result last week, bad performance, questions asked, injuries, form, I think it's a sign of look, we're a traumatized fan base. I don't think 12 months of good footy, well, obviously 12 months of good footy, relatively good footy, is not enough to heal the wound. But I was thinking about it after the game in particular. I'm like, I wonder how long it will take for the wound to heal. We're a damaged fan base. We are. We've lost trust, and fair enough. I like to live in a space where I believe in this group. I believed that we would respond next week after last week. And I think there's always that little bit of fear, because you never know. You never truly know till the ball's bounced and you see how the boys start playing. You never really know how the team will go. But I thought pretty much from the first passage of play yesterday, I think Zach Williams kicked the first goal. Pretty much from there, I knew that we were the better side on the day. I felt like we were the better side on the day, and that's the way it played out. Pre-game, I got there super early. I sat in my seat super early. Just, I don't know, I'm sure there's many of you that do it as well. You get there early, not because you want to be anywhere or see anyone in particular, just because you want to sit in your seat and just smell the air and soak it up. And that was me yesterday. Sat on level 1 on the wing. Got the news that Sam Flanders would be out, which I think was significant. I think he's one of their, if not their best players. Uses the ball really well. So that was I guess a bit of a positive going into the game. You know that they're coming off a really impressive win, 2 wins in a row. So yeah, I was a bit more confident there. Zach Williams kicks his goal. Game starts. I mean, it just felt in my heart, and like, okay, we're winning today. And maybe that's just easy to say because we won the game and it all sounds great now. But I did feel a sense of calm. I thought the way in which we dominated passages of play was good at times. There was a beautiful passage of play. We switched the ball, came down the wing to Ollie Hollands, perfect passage to Owies for his goal. So we started to see some good footy developing, because there's winning and then there's how you win. Beautiful inboard kick from Owies at one point to Zach Williams for his goal. It just looked good. There was a frustration, though. I felt like for all the dominance of play that we had, we didn't dominate the scoreboard like what you kind of want us to. And like, we're building towards it, and I understand it. And that's why I don't get so mad at it. I'm appreciating the journey too, as opposed to we should be there now. I don't think we should be there now. I think we are building towards it. I think this group, I mean, they've only just got close to what our best team looks like on the park. We're not settled. We're not peaking yet. And so I can understand why we haven't seen it yet. There's a hope that as the season progresses and as we get more and more years of footy into this group together, it will come. But obviously, in the moment, you're watching your team dominate play, seemingly score when it's difficult, and then you're watching your opposition score with ease, and it's so frustrating in the moment. I felt at quarter time we should have been up by a lot more than what we were, and that is just, again, we've got to learn that. We haven't learnt that yet. Put the game away when you can, because you know that the beautiful game is a game of momentum. You know it's going to come back at you, and you know the opposition will have their passages of play against you. So, yeah, winning, frustrated. There was a bit of frustration building in a number of ways, and I'll touch on it in a minute. I don't usually do this in a review, but I've got to shout out the opposition, a specific individual. Mac Andrew, I've been a fan of Mac Andrew from when he was drafted. I love his story. I love his attributes as a footballer. Mate, you literally watched the coming of Mac Andrew. He is going to be a problem for this league. And there was a bit of commentary saying, we're kicking it to him. No, we weren't. We were kicking it to Charlie. Mac Andrew was just gobbling it up. It reminded me of Darcy Moore against us. Was it Collingwood, Carlton? It was the first time we played them, maybe in 2023. He was insane. He was so impressive. And I think because I'm a fan of his as well, watching him in the flesh for the first time, just super impressive. He had Charlie. I mean, he's got the attributes. He's super long, athletic. He's not strong just yet, but he's not strong, if that makes sense. And we did not have an answer for him. And it kind of reminded me, and I guess us, this is why it's so important. You can't be putting the ball on top of Charlie's head like that. We've got to find a way to get our entries better. I know they're working at it, and we just got to wait it out. Unfortunately, for us watching, we just got to wait it out. They've got to figure it out. They've got to try new things. They've got to fuck it up. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to lose games because of it, and that's hard to swallow as a supporter. But that is what the process is. That is the process of learning and winning. We've got to get that better. I don't think anyone's under any illusions. And when we do get it better, when they do figure that out, that's when we won't have too much of an issue with dominating play and not capitalising on scoreboard. So, yeah, shout out to Mac Andrew. That was very impressive. As an opposition supporter, that got me going. I wasn't barracking for Mac, but watching him, you're like, what are you supposed to do? You're just marveling at how well he was playing. It was just picking off everything. So, we're still so wasteful in the second quarter. I remember thinking sort of halfway through, like, we need to rock it up. These guys need a rocket. They just need it to be shaken a little bit, It was as if I don't know, maybe we can speak to one of them and ask, like, did they feel like they were, because I felt like we were the better team clearly. And sometimes you've established in a game that you are the better team. And sometimes that can work against you. When you don't have that seed of doubt in game as to who's the better team, sometimes you can get comfortable. And I don't know if we got comfortable, but it just felt like they knew we were the better team and they were just preserving themselves. Now, that might be disrespectful. Maybe the Suns just... Actually, no, that is disrespectful. The Suns laid 51 tackles in the first half. So it wasn't as if the Suns were making it easy for us. We were doing it tough. We had some really nice passages of play, but it just was difficult. So the crowd was getting restless in the second quarter. Kennedy takes a beautiful intercept mark in our forward line. He misses, unfortunately. Get to halftime, frustrated, dominating all the key areas. You look at the stats, look at all of it. It's all Carlton, exactly where we want to be. But the margin wasn't really, you would say, enough for what that statistical dominance was showing. So we get to the third quarter. Hewitt kicks a goal early. We saw a little bit of, and we'll touch on this, but Chincotta, he was, starting in the forward six for centre stoppage, coming straight up to stoppage, and then just following Tuke Miller around. Did it all day. It was phenomenal. I liked it. I like to see some things changed. We saw Zach Williams play as a forward. We'll touch on him as well. We found a little something there potentially. The third quarter, so this is when the frustration just kept building. Now, the umpiring, it was what it was. We weren't getting some calls. The Suns were getting some calls. The holding the ball rule, I've lost all knowledge of how it goes. I can understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to give players enough opportunity to get rid of the ball, but we're going to hurt someone one day. I mean, we did. We lost Aaron Norton on the weekend because of it. So King kicks a goal. I think Zach Williams kicks one there to respond, kicks his third. Then Ben Long kicks a goal. We just couldn't pull away from the Suns. They kept hanging around. Did I get nervous that we were going to lose the margin? No, I didn't. I felt at all times we were in control of the lead. It just wasn't blowing out to what I wanted it to, you know. Akers takes a mark. It bounced off his head somehow. Charlie kicks his goal finally. And then there was a passage of play in our, deep in our defensive 50. Can't remember the players, but all of them flew up for the ball. The ball spills to ground. Ben King kicks a goal. And I just remember sitting there at the time thinking, man, we make some of the dumbest decisions. We like the bonehead plays that we make. Like, they're so talented. You look across the park and you're like, wow. I mean, we've got, maybe this is the supporter and the biased supporter kicking in, but like I look around the park and like, oh, you're all stars. Like, there's so many of you that are I hold in such high esteem, and they make such bonehead plays. Like, no IQ at times. I don't know if it's just a lack of communication in moments, but sometimes they do things and I'm like, what are you boys doing? Anyway, so King kicks that goal after the spillage. Then a really interesting part happens in the crowd. So the free kick count starts really getting noticeable. At this point, I think we've only been awarded 2. We're in the third quarter. And then a bullshit chant started from like the cheer squad, and it actually caught flame, and it reverberated around the stadium. And I remember thinking, oh, that's interesting. Like, there's a few ways to get a Carlton crowd riled up. Obviously, when we're playing a rival and we get on a bit of a run, or we kick a few goals in a row, we're up and about. A final is a final. You're always going to be up and about for a final. A fourth quarter, as it starts building, it starts reverberating. The other way to get the Carlton crowd engaged is the umpiring. And when it's no good, and it's no good repetitively, I wouldn't say we're Essendon levels, where like their culture of fandom in the crowd is just to complain about umpiring and whatever. I'm not going to say it's right or wrong. It's just Essendon. We're not there, but we do complain at times, and especially when it starts getting out of control, like it did yesterday. It built, and the frustration of during the week and losing last week and the injuries and the Russell talk and like all of it. You just felt all the pressure on all the frustration of the week, combined with the fact that we hadn't really pulled away from the Suns. It was a bit annoying, combined with the fact that the umpiring just inconsistent, and then it burst, and then the bullshit chant started, and then bang. Crowd engaged fully, everyone's up and about, everyone's angry, but it's energy. And then before you know it, we go bang, 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 we're kicking goals. Charlie gets off, and then, we're up by, what was it? Up by 17, I think it was, at 3/4 time. And then you get to the fourth, Cripps roving goal, Charlie goal, Williams kicks his fourth, Charlie kicks another. And we've just put the game to bed, up by 40 odd. And, unfortunately the Suns kicked a few at the end. Bailey Humphrey kicked one of the goals of the year, which probably just goes unnoticed. It was a brilliant goal, and like a silent reaction from the crowd, because the game was dead. And we win by 29. And at the end of the day, it's probably a perfect reflection of the game, because we were wasteful, and therefore the end margin reflects that. Obviously, from the Carlton point of view, we should have been winning by more, but you got to be humble. I mean, your opponent plays well enough to keep the margin where it was, and us don't play well enough to blow it out. And would have loved, Obviously, the percentage is an important factor in moments, particularly when you talk about a close competition. But at the end of the day, nothing is more important than a win. I think particularly when you talk about top four, everything matters. Everything has a priority. Percentage is important, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is getting the wins. So, and that's the ball game. I liked a few things that I saw. I liked some of the positional changes. I thought Zach Williams had his game. I don't think we've had a specific game for Zach Williams where you're like, that's the Zach Williams game. That's the one. You remember when Zach Williams did it? That's the one. Kick 4. After seeing him in the half forward line last week, I wasn't sure about it because he seemed to be moved back to the back line pretty quickly. So I thought, okay, maybe the coaches are just giving up on this experiment. But all of a sudden, it looks great yesterday. He's a ground level player. We have an issue with our ground balls at times and reading the drop of the ball in our forward line. He's evasive. He can be good at stoppage. He's got attributes to play at stoppages. He's got attributes to play in traffic. He's got attributes to play as a midfielder if he wants. He's done it in patches. I don't think he's a full-time midfielder, but having him as a rotation on the midfield while he's half forward, I don't mind. So, and I'm just happy for him because he's come back from his injury. He's been okay. He's been building every week. We just sort of know, he's not at his best. He's building. And you know what? I thought was a really symbolic moment when he did his dance, celebrating his goal and sort of, paying a token to his culture. I really think there's something in that, seeing him smile and us embrace Zach and him as, with his Indigenous roots and him expressing his Indigenous roots. Haven't seen that from him. Obviously, his cousin designs the Guernsey and he's involved in that process. But on the field, to see him express himself, I think is a significant moment for him. We'll see what happens from here on in. But it was really good to see everyone embrace that, particularly his teammates, the crowd, and more importantly for Zach to feel comfortable to express that. So I think there's something in that. I mentioned Chincotta. I like and I really enjoyed. Usually when Chincotta, Boyd, Kemp, Cowan, I think this is one of the first times that we've seen all four of them playing. 12 months ago, if you had said they're all playing or they're all up for selection, usually we're dropping one or two of them. And you're sort of like, you're plugging holes, or if Marchbank's playing, one of them comes out. I liked that they all stayed in the side, and rather than dropping one of them, you give them a different role. You empower them with a different role. Chincotta has shown an ability to defend for his life. And so I liked all of a sudden, for all the talk about, where's the plan B? Mate, we saw plan B, C, D, and E yesterday. Chincotta playing as a tagger on Tuke Miller. I think that's potentially a step. Would like to see him express himself. And I think he's got attributes to be, offensive and hurt his opponent the other way. I mean, he stopped Tuke Miller dead. I stopped him in his tracks. And so that's a major win for his role. It's not sexy the way he plays, but someone's got to be willing to, who's going to carry the boats, as David Goggins would say. Who is going to carry the boats? Alex Chincotta is going to carry the boats. That's how it's going to go. And so I liked what I saw there. I liked the adjustment that was made from first half to second half, which didn't allow Mac Andrew to intercept the way he was. So, I thought getting Saad back in the side. I mean, I don't think Saad was at his best, but you could just tell there's just a calming sense of composure when you add another experienced head back there. We saw when McGovern came in, it looked a little bit better, and then Saad comes in, then you've got Saad and McGovern in there with Wiedering, and it just looks more reassured. You've got Newman back there, Wiedering, battling. The guy is battling. He's just soldiering on. He doesn't have the power through his legs to jump right now, and that's just the nature of where his body's at right now. But yeah, young Lockie Cowan, it's a really good story. I think he's been building. Prior to yesterday, his 4 games were 4 of the toughest opponents that you can play. So it was good to see him get started in the team. He's got experience heads behind him. All of a sudden, you see Lockie Cowan break through a little bit. That's the best game he's played for the club. So you go, you're struggling, you're playing against really good opposition. Then all of a sudden you have a little breakthrough. And I thought that's what we saw from him. And yeah, look, 4 points, you take it, you enjoy it. You're humble enough to appreciate that we used to pray for days like this. We used to pray that one day we would win games and say, I wish we won by more. Because there was a time not long ago where we didn't even look close to winning games. So I never forget it. I think what has happened in the past, you don't want to live too much into it because you don't want to get complacent and say, oh, look where we've come from. We should be happy. It's just more about a balancing act of knowing where we've come from and sort of where we need to go when we're like somewhere in the middle. Particularly this year, I think we've shown some really good signs, and I think we're just ticking along. I don't think it is as bad as what the frustration during the week was. And again, as I said, that is probably down to some, we're frustrated. We're a frustrated fan base because of what's happened in the last couple of decades. And that's a really difficult burden for the current group to wear because, we seem to be taking out that frustration when we lose. It's like a generational anger onto a group who they've only been here a couple of years, some of them, like 8 years max, Cripps 10. So it's difficult, but also that's the Carlton Football Club. This is us. This is who we are. And tolerance is important. See it on the fan cams as well. Fan cams were awesome. Really special moments we're seeing more people call in from around the world. We're seeing young George who went to his first game, like moments like that. And so I've learned to appreciate the journey and just enjoy these little things we get over time, because the memories at the end of the day, that's all we really have. I mean, all your items that you die with, I mean, they all get rusty and they all, disintegrate. But your actual memories and the things you create over time in your mind and the experiences that you live, that's what stay with you forever. So we'll leave it there. My player of the game was, how did I go into a review without mentioning Tom De Koning? Oh my God. I'm going to go Patrick Cripps. Yeah, it was a captain's performance. I liked what he did. And my doing a bit, I'm going to give it to Zach Williams. I don't know how Tom De Koning doesn't get any award for his game yesterday. He was excellent. But yeah, Zach Williams doing a bit. We need another option in the forward line. I don't expect Zach to kick 4 goals every week, but I think there's an option. There's something that we potentially have created there. So we use it and we move forward. And then, mate, I'm filming on Sunday morning. We've got a game in 4 days, so no time to enjoy. I mean, we'll enjoy it for what? Today, Sunday, and then Monday we're straight into game mode for Port. So we'll go from there. What about you? Tell me everything about round 11 that came to your mind, your experience, absolutely everything. Share with me in the comments below, and we'll go from there. Go Blues.